This was really good. Because you'll look at the red card, Kweku, maybe, and think, okay, they were down to 10 men. But even before that, Chelsea was so dominant in this game.
Yeah, you don't want the red card to take away from Chelsea's performance, and had the ball in the back of the net 6 times last night against Barcelona. It could have been so much more, but Chelsea, that's one of the best performances I've seen from Chelsea in a long time, especially considering the opposition. Barcelona, they don't go goalless. They score in almost every game they play, and I think it's been over 50 games that they haven't scored a goal. And that's testament to Chelsea's defence. Has been much maligned over the last year or so, but you think about the last 4 games in the Premier League, 4 clean sheets in a row. Think about how good the defence were towards the back end of last season. Chelsea only conceded 2 more goals than Liverpool last year, who ran away with the league. And so it's more about the collective when it comes to Chelsea. And when you've got players fit and a manager instilling tactics the team can get behind, you see performances like you did last night. Obviously, no one expected 3-0 against Barcelona, but talk to most Chelsea fans heading into that game. They were confident, and we've seen famous nights at the Bridge against Barcelona. Some have gone our way, some haven't. Think about 2009 and that Iniesta goal, and think about 2004 or 5 season and Chelsea beating Barcelona 4-2. But this was a memorable night for Chelsea, and just the Chelsea team that going in the right direction, right? There's so much talk about what Chelsea can do this season, what Chelsea can achieve, but we're stepping in or following the manager's footsteps in terms of one game at a time. And last night was a huge step in terms of this young Chelsea team going in the right direction and hopefully competing for the biggest honours in the game.
Is this the process, Kweku? Is this the plan coming to fruition? We all sort of said, why are they putting them on 10-year contracts? Why are they putting them on 7-year contracts, all these young players? Is this what they were after? Are we seeing it starting to happen?
It looks like it, right? And it's easy to say that off the back of beating Barcelona 3-0, but I was somebody that was massively critical of the approach from Clear Lake. And it's taken time to come to fruition, and we're still not at the final destination, but we are starting to see the plan come together. And it's a Chelsea team that performed very well without their best player in Cole Palmer, who's not just Chelsea's best player, but one of the best players in the world. And if you look at the improvements under Clear Lake in their first season, an absolute disaster, finishing 12th, going through 3 managers, starting off with Tuchel, then Graham Potter, than Frank Lampard. They bring in Pochettino, you see gradual improvement. You bring in Cole Palmer, you finish 6th. Last season, they made a change again. They brought in Enzo Maresca, their man, and finished 4th and won a couple of trophies. So there's been gradual improvement since Clear Lake have come in. And they would argue, but this is the plan coming together, a group of young, talented players that are all fighting for the same goal, and the manager that is the hierarchy's man. And it seems like everyone's singing off the same hymn sheet. But this is Chelsea Football Club. We're only a couple of games away from disaster. And only a month ago or a month and a half ago, remember that disaster against Manchester United, who were on their knees at the time, and Chelsea throwing that game away in the first 10 minutes. So like I say, it's game by game, but it is coming together. And if you look at the collective, Chelsea have got some of the best players in the world. I think Marc Cucurella has established himself as one of the best left backs in the world, and we saw that last night. Reece James, when fit, is one of the best right backs in the world. Estevao is one of the most exciting young players in the world. I've already mentioned Cole Palmer. Moises Caicedo is one of the best in class, and Enzo Fernandez is a World Cup winner and playing his best football in a Chelsea shirt. So there's reasons to be optimistic as a Chelsea fan.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you keep buying the best young players, eventually some of them will come together and make a good football team. But I agree with you. I think there's so many things that are impressive about them. I agree with you about Cucurella. I mean, he's so annoying. But like, if he's yours, he's your annoying, right? So good for you. I mean, and he did, like, Lamine Yamal started and had a couple of good runs against him, but he sort of tied him up, and that isn't easy to do. And I agree with you on the midfield, Enzo and Caicedo. And it's interesting with all those 3 that they didn't hit the ground running. And it is a real sign for all the players that we are currently writing off who have signed for lots of money in the Premier League, be it Florian Wirtz or whoever, that it takes a bit of time for some players. Cucurella was absolutely panned when he arrived from Brighton, wasn't he? We should talk about Estevao, Kweku, as in this was the game that decided who was better out of Estevao and Lamine Yamal. Of course, that's how football works these days. But his goal is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he's an absolute superstar, and I love the way that Enzo Maresca has managed him this season. And I took a bit of flack. I was on talkSPORT a couple of weeks ago, and I was comparing him to Cristiano Ronaldo, not in what Cristiano Ronaldo became, but what Cristiano Ronaldo was when he first came to Premier League. A precocious talent that was slight in frame and maybe needs to understand what the league was. And what Alex Ferguson did in that 03-04 season was took his time with Cristiano Ronaldo. He played 29 league games, but he only started 15. 14 of those appearances were off the bench. And there's Chelsea fans crying out for Estevao to start week in and week out, but didn't play a minute against Burnley on the weekend, played played the full game against Barcelona last night, and because he is so young and you want to protect these talented players, I think the way that Enzo Maresca is blooding him into this Chelsea team is masterful. And like you say, time, it needs to be afforded to not only players but also managers of football. And Maresca's the man that people weren't convinced with at points last season. We're starting to see the best of him, especially in big games this year. And in his hands, he's got one of the most talented players I think the Premier League has seen in a long, long time. He can do it all. And with young Brazilian players or young talented wingers, it's mostly when they're coming through, they're relying on blistering pace, but it's what Estevao does with the ball at his feet. It's his decision making. It's his tracking back. It's everything that he brings to the pitch. He plays like a player who's been in the Premier League for 4 or 5 years, but we need to take our time with him. He is still so young, and I don't expect him to start every game going forward. But when he does play, you can feel the electricity in the air. You can hear Stamford Bridge rise up, because when you have that player of that ability, similar to a player like Eden Hazard, you can't help but get excited every time he touches the ball. And last night was a prime example why Chelsea fans are very, very hopeful about what Estevao can become.
On to the weekend, second in the league, playing champions-elect, top of the table, league winners by Christmas, Arsenal. Is it a free hit, do you think, Kweku, on Sunday?
No such thing as a free hit with Chelsea. Chelsea expect to win every game they go into, and if they don't, the fans will soon let the team know. So we understand how good Arsenal are. We also understand that Arsenal are missing some key players going into this game, like Chelsea. Gabriel, I believe, is the soul of Arsenal, and the fact that they come to Stamford Bridge without him is a huge benefit to Chelsea. But we need to play our best football. This is an Arsenal team that when they lost against Sunderland, or when they drew against Sunderland, it felt like a loss. It felt so monumental because they've been that consistent this year. Not just the best team in England, in my opinion, but playing some of the best football in Europe. So Chelsea are going to have to be at their very best. But I think with Enzo Maresca, what he showed us over the last couple of months, and even towards the back end of last season when Chelsea went on that run to qualify for the Champions League, is that he has a different game plan for each opposition he comes up against. And you'll have a specific game plan for Arsenal. There's a little bit of a break. I know people complain about playing European football than matches on the weekend, but that's what you play for. He's got a bit of a break because he played on Tuesday, a game over Arsenal. Arsenal play today. And so he'll have enough time to game plan and put that plan into practice on the weekend. And the game that Chelsea are going into with not just hope, but now expectation. This is a Chelsea team that's shown that they can beat the biggest teams in England and the biggest teams in Europe. So why not go and take the game to Arsenal and see if you can install yourself in a title race, which sounds insane, right, in terms of where Chelsea were a couple of months ago. But this is a league season that feels a bit abnormal to me. If Chelsea can go and get 3 points on the weekend, that's 1 point behind Arsenal, and then we'll see what happens.
Thomas Frank had a specific plan for Arsenal, so I hope Enzo Maresca's is different to that one. And cheers, Kweku.
Cheers,
Have
Kweku.
a good day.